And now to a business-related story. Nigeria's headline inflation rate has experienced its first decline since December 2022, dropping from 32.19% to 33.4% in July 2024. This information was revealed in the Consumer Price Index inflation report released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Thursday. The report highlighted a 0.79% decrease in headline inflation for July. However, the July inflation figure remains 9.32% higher than the rate recorded in the same period in 2023. On a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate for July 2024 stood at 2.28%, slightly lower than 2.31% reported in June 2024. Now, joining me to discuss this is Economic Analyst Olusesan Okunade. You're welcome. Good evening to have you here.
Yeah, good evening, Mazino. Good evening to all our viewers across the globe. Glad to be here this evening.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Okunade, what were the primary economic factors contributing to the recent decrease? Albeit that it's a very small decrease, what factors are responsible for Nigeria's inflation rate coming down after 19 months of consistent increase?
Oh, thank you very much, Mazino. I look critically at the reduction that we've seen when it comes to inflation. Very marginal, very small. It's insignificant if you ask me. But after 19 months, at least, we can come to discuss on issues to say it's not an increase like we've been having consistently in every month. When you ask of some of the indices, I believe the measures put in place by the Central Bank of Nigeria and that of the federal government also in terms of the area of the inputs into security has assisted in a little way to create a great relief. Although I would say it is not a time to start celebrating, because when you look at the key measure of measuring inflation, which is the Consumer Price Index, there are still a lot of some of those things that is not impacting or may not impact on the common man in the common time. So this might just be more of what some of us would refer to as book work, not reflecting in what an average citizen can actually look. When you look at the Consumer Price Index, some of those components that actually made up those things are still seriously being impacted in terms of food. I can tell you we've not moved significantly. I was still in the market myself yesterday, and I know what the cost of things are. In area of shelter, there has not been any significant improvement. Rather, you see people paying more for their rent, and to even acquire property on your own, as we speak, it's on the high side. When you look at other operations, let's look at transportation too. Significantly, it has not impacted, even though the government is making effort in introducing the CNG, which is being considered as being relatively cheaper to impact on it. But we've not started seeing that thing. So that's why we feel that, well, it's a little decline. At least we can come to discuss decrease and not increase, which we've been having month in, month out in the last 19 months. But we see more to come, because when you compare the current inflation rate with year to year as what we had last year, it's still a very far distance of over 9%, of which we believe at least if nothing is happening, we can go back to status quo of what we had last year, which will impact on the common man, and we can have the economic growth as expected.
So you spoke about some of these policies that have not even yet really been implemented, but yet we're seeing this decrease in inflation. So what exactly is responsible for that decrease? What policies that were put in place, and when were they put in place that impacted this result?
I think the CBN recently put a certain policy in place as part of the monetary policy to monitor the activities of things. Part of the things you see is the recapitalization of the financial institution to meet the current trend of loan requests and some of the things that businesses need to impact on them. I would say, Mazino, it's still not a big time celebration. I can tell you that when you look at the current situation where we are in terms of the so much expectation on the part of a common citizen, I think it's just maybe some of us will attribute it to little input of the break we are experiencing on the path of maybe the students, people out of the country, which are significantly contributed to the bottom line. We will have a more robust discussion on the decrease we have if we continue to have a decline. By the time we'll be talking of the month-to-month end to it, I can tell you that there is no significant input that has contributed to this, if you ask me, because the major impact that represent the CPI, which is the measure for inflation, is still on the high side.
What about its influence on interest rates? We've been seeing that go up the entire year. How has this affected interest rate, and might this influence borrowing and lending?
Well, it will not. I have to say, this will not. I'm sure you know at the last MPP meeting that was held, inflation was actually increased to about 27.4%, which on its own we consider as something that stiffens the business growth of an average person, because you always ask yourself, if you are to borrow at that rate, of which is really not 27.4, by the time the financial institution add some of those their fees to it, we'll be talking about 32 to 33%. And you look at yourself as a business venture, what margin can you put for your client or the person you are providing those services to be able to afford and accommodate this? So the decline or the decrease that we have experienced in inflation will not have any significant impact on interest rates, but we hope to see more of the input from the fiscal side that will support what the monetary policy that we are having. But a lot still need to be put in place. We want a situation where we can have our interest rate come as low as 15% so that businesses can grow. Because as we speak currently, the operating cost of an average businessman is impacting negatively on the growth, and not until when we have a coincided interest rate impacting on inflation, we go nowhere as a nation.
Mr. Okunade, thank you very much for giving us your intelligent insight into the subject matter here. Thank you indeed.
It's a pleasure to be with you this evening, Mazino. Thank you for having me.